Hello creatives, and today I'm talking about publishing, online business and tech trends for authors in 2018. We live in the most exciting time in history to be an author and creative entrepreneur. The opportunities are ever expanding, but only if you embrace the changes rather than trying to cling to the old models. So I wrote about after my Oregon trip about the stabilisation of the indie author business model in 2017 and the need to position for the next phase of growth. Now, it's unclear whether that next phase of growth will happen in 2018 or later on, but today I'll be talking about some macro trends that might impact authors in the coming year and some suggestions for what you might do to position yourself for success. So this is going to cover 5 different sections, just so you know ahead of time. Number 1, crunch time, exclusivity versus wide publishing, subscription programs and Amazon changes ahead. 2, disruption in the social media space. 3, rise of voice search, voice assistants and impact on audio. 4, content creation beyond the book. And 5, expansion of blockchain technologies and other cool tech. Now, I've assembled this from multiple sources, like really loads of sources. And this article, obviously, I'm going to be reading it because it's not something I can extemporize. So if you go to the show notes for this podcast, you can click on the links and read all the original bits and bobs where I got the information. So hopefully that's useful. Right, let's get into it. So, 1. Crunch time, exclusivity versus wide publishing, subscription programs and Amazon changes ahead. As Orna Ross noted in her roundup of 2017 in publishing, the indie author business model has almost entirely diverged from traditional publishing, in that we can do pretty much everything ourselves now, and many successful indie authors are just getting on with their writing and publishing lives with no real thought to what traditional publishing is up to, and vice versa. Perhaps the same kind of divergent shift is coming for those authors who remain within Amazon's ecosystem with KDP Select, and those who choose to publish wide and even sell direct to readers. From an author perspective, going into KDP Select, which means exclusive to Amazon for 90 days and then ongoing unless you uncheck the box, is the easiest option, and in my opinion, the best way to start an indie author career. You only have to worry about one platform, the biggest one, and you get added benefits of visibility and free marketing options while you learn the ropes. I still recommend starting out on KDP Select if you are a new author with under 3 books in a series and no real marketing platform or email list. I am in KDP Select for Penny Appleton, my sweet contemporary romance pen name co-written with my mum, because it's basically a passive brand with no platforms. I'm too busy with my other brands to do much more, and with those other brands, Joanna Penn and JF Penn, I'm wide, including Kobo, iBooks, Draft2Digital, Publish Drive and other things. Of course, you can make the choice per book and change your choice every 90 days. But if you want to build up an audience on other platforms, it takes time and multiple books, especially if you write in a series. And once you go wide with a series, it's hard to pull back as you risk disappointing readers. And what about all those readers who don't read on Amazon? Those in countries not served by the US giant, or who have chosen to read on other platforms, or whose payment methods aren't accepted, or those who object to Amazon for ethical reasons, or those who want to support authors by giving them a bigger slice of royalties. Those readers will only be served if you publish wide. You also have to start thinking about your own career as an author. I started seriously focusing on wide distribution and selling ebooks direct in 2014, when Good e-Reader reported that Hachette, one of the big 5 publishers, derived 60% of its US income and 78% of its UK income from Amazon. They were negotiating contracts at the time, but what real choice did Hachette have when one company has that much power over your business? Indie authors have had ample opportunity to publish wide for a while now, and now we have the tools to more easily sell direct because of BookFunnel's new integration, which is what I'm using for my books on the Creative Penn. Written Word Media's 2018 trend article notes that the rise of direct-to-reader sales and marketing is growing. And this means we can make 90% of the royalty and capture the email address of the reader. Plus, we can then use automated email sequences as described by Joseph Alexander in this interview on print publishing business models in order to recommend more books, give discounts, and other things. But is KDP Select a dangerous trend as we move into 2018? In his 2018 Trends article, Mark Coker, CEO of Smashwords, questions whether independent authors are losing their independence because they have become entirely dependent on Amazon, locked into the ease of the Select ecosystem, even though royalties and conditions are changing. This shift to exclusivity may become even more pronounced in 2018 because of a number of other factors. A. The rise of subscription models for consumption. KDP Unlimited provides unlimited reading for dedicated bibliophiles. Kobo also launched Kobo Plus, a subscription program in the Netherlands in 2017. I'm a Kindle Unlimited subscriber, although I also buy books in other forms. I'm an Audible subscriber and on Amazon Prime for shipping and TV. I'm also a Netflix subscriber. My husband subscribes to Google Play for music. I subscribe to the Financial Times and The Guardian in the UK for my news, as well as Money Week magazine. Subscriptions are becoming an extensive part of our lives when it comes to entertainment and education and shopping, and Amazon is winning, given that there is no option for Nook or iBooks and Kobo Plus has only just started in a small market. The rumour mill has gone into overdrive this week as a change was released and then quickly removed on the KDP dashboard, showing a new 50% royalty between the 35% and 70% options. Speculation was rife that this might mean a move to 50% royalty if you're not in Select, or perhaps an integration of delivery fees or a number of other things. A 50% royalty rate would certainly be a big factor in some people's decisions on whether to go exclusive. And just as an aside, I wouldn't blame you. As an author, as a business person, this is a big deal. So if that really is what's coming, then I know a lot of people are going to have to think about it. There are other possible Amazon platform changes ahead, as the new publishing standard questions whether Abe Books, the book depository and CreateSpace will be rolled into the main Amazon sites, and there's a new Amazon author portal on the horizon too, according to the Digital Reader. B. Brick and mortar sales decline as online sales grow. There have been a lot of reports over the holiday period of how high street shops and malls are relatively deserted, and that online shopping has been even bigger over the holiday period. Companies that pivot to delivering a great online experience in addition to physical stores are doing fine, but those who focus only on physical stores are struggling. For authors and publishers, this may mean Barnes & Noble in the US and Waterstones in the UK will have further challenges in 2018. Independent bookstores will hopefully pick up local business as they can offer more tailored experiences and have lower overheads. Publishing industry commentator Mike Shatskin discussed what might happen if Barnes & Noble went bankrupt on Nathan Bransford's blog last year. Quote, "Without Barnes & Noble, the business models of most of the publishers we know are severely challenged," end quote. Losing the physical inventory supply chain would mean that self-publishing would look a lot more attractive for authors willing to do their own marketing. But B&N's market share of the business is already declining and being replaced by Amazon and independent bookstores, so it won't bankrupt publishers. Christine Catherine Rush discussed the impact of digital sales on brick and mortar stores at the Coast Business Masterclass last year, noting that brick and mortar stores were thriving if they had an online presence and didn't rely only on foot traffic, which is how Chris and her husband Dean Wesley Smith run their own 3 physical stores in Oregon, utilising online markets for maintaining revenue off-season. Chris says that it makes sense that Amazon is buying brick and mortar businesses as people still want to browse in stores but are increasingly going online to buy. So Amazon bookstores, like the Apple stores, become a browsing destination that leads to increased online sales, as well as a marketing channel and a funnel into the Prime subscription model. I went to the Amazon bookstore in New York, and it was all about driving people into Prime and relating the in-store experience with the online potential. The same changes are happening at Whole Foods, which Amazon acquired in 2017, and it does seem to be about driving people to Prime. And remember, that subscription model for businesses is gold because it means you can almost guarantee your monthly income. The rumour mill has a few other interesting things in this area. Money Week in the UK suggests that Amazon will buy Waterstones, which is our biggest high street bookstore, and would give Amazon an immediate physical retail presence in the UK. Whole Foods only has 9 stores in the UK right now, but there are other supermarkets that Amazon might consider to expand their footprint. The Next Web suggests that Amazon might buy Target, which is a clothes and fashion play, not specifically about books. This might also relate to a patent filed by Amazon about a smart mirror that dresses you in virtual clothes so you can better shop online. And I must say, looking at that design document, I really like the idea. I mean, I am just not a shopper. I don't like clothes shop. I buy books. I mean, I'm a real book shopper, but I don't like clothes shopping. And from a consumer perspective, I really think that having something like that where you could be more sure that what you were buying online actually looked nice on you would really help. So very interesting development there. I also think that the heads-up display stuff, which I'll discuss in a bit, will make a big difference in terms of virtual shopping for physical products. So how can you prepare for this possible shake-up? First of all, take some time to think longer term about what you want to do with KDP Select and how you will consider the distribution of your books. And I know it's hard to think further than yourself, but we also do need to consider the wider marketplace in 10 years' time. I'm constantly thinking about my 10-year window at the moment because it's taken me basically 10 years. My 10-year anniversary is this December 2018. I started the Creative Penn in December 2008. So really looking at what I was able to achieve in 10 years, I'm looking at the next 10 years. What do I want to achieve? And that has to be on a wider level for the indie author movement. What do we want the ecosystem to look like in 10 years? If you choose to go all in with Amazon, then make sure you put aside some of your income as a cushion for changing environments. We've all heard about some of the changes to the algorithms making a difference to people's revenue and some authors disappearing because it became hard. So make sure that if you do go all in, you're ready for any potential changes, and there will be changes. If you choose to go wide or go direct because going wide can include going direct, then how can you maximize that revenue to create multiple streams of income outside what we're used to right now? For example, an author can now have something like a subscription model by using Patreon for recurring revenue. And again, thank you to everyone supporting this show with Patreon, because what it means is every month I get a certain amount of money from you guys. And even if you're giving $1 or $2, that together with everyone else means that I get some money, which means I can carry on. And it's a revenue stream that is not reliant on book sales or Amazon. You can also build up direct sales relationships using BookFunnel. And this, I think, is going to be very exciting. I'm definitely looking at how I can integrate my sales on selz.com through BookFunnel and then into my email provider, and then how I can basically do good email management in order to offer discounts to people who buy direct and that type of thing. Of course, these direct sales or Patreon sponsorships don't result in rankings or bestseller lists, and they can't be measured by trackable publishing statistics, but you can make a living that way. So what we're looking at is a really interesting dichotomy. Do you really want vanity measurements like rankings and bestseller lists, or do you want income? And that is going to be a choice, I think, an increasing choice as we make our way through this. Also, however you choose to do your ebooks and audiobooks, you can still prepare for more print sales, as they have no exclusivity clauses yet. And I say yet, I mean it might come, absolutely. But at the moment, there is no exclusivity on print. So as Dean Wesley Smith said at the Oregon Business Masterclass, quote, all those readers will be looking for their print editions online if they don't have a store to go into, end quote. And that comment from Dean, and he's an excellent businessman who knows his figures. So that was very interesting. So make sure you're positioned for future growth in online print sales in 2018. Are your books available in print? All of them? Are all of them available in print? Have you considered other print products your readers might like? For example, large print, which I'm doing for Penny Appleton, workbooks, hardbacks, or mass market paperback editions, all of which can be done with print on demand. Right, number 2, disruption in the social media space. So I read a lot of financial news, and one consistent story over the last few months has been a shift in the mood towards Facebook and social media in general. Firstly, in terms of paying tax and regulation of content, including the impact of targeted ads on the US presidential campaign and Brexit, as well as policing inappropriate content. But also there are reports of fatigue associated with social media overload, too much information, and the comparisonitis that can stem from all those Instagram-ready bodies or curated life pictures on Facebook. Previous Facebook employees have even spoken out about, quote, creating tools that rip apart the social fabric of how society works, end quote. And Mark Zuckerberg has even made fixing Facebook his goal for 2018. His Facebook post states that his aim is, quote, protecting our community from abuse and hate, defending against interference by nation states, and making sure that time spent on Facebook is time well spent, end quote. And that last bit is why I took Facebook off my phone in November, and it hasn't gone back on. And, maybe you've been doing that as well, but certainly less social media can make you feel better, and that's really odd. Not really odd. I think it's natural in many ways, but I'll circle back to this. This is the problem when I try and extemporize off the side of my written text. I lose my track. So getting back into it. These issues mean there is likely to be a rise in regulation, more oversight, and more control over content, which means it will be harder to market and paid ads will become more expensive. Social Media Examiner predictions for 2018 include the probability of continued rising cost of direct ads and recommend using YouTube for lead generation, as well as video on other platforms using authentic human interaction and collaborative storytelling that focuses on the customer experience first. And again, an aside, YouTube was the big thing in 2009, which is why I went onto YouTube in 2009. But so it's kind of crazy to hear this again. Written Word Media's trend article also notes that marketing will become more expensive in 2018. But that is about paid advertising, not content marketing, which is how I have built the Creative Penn and my audience over the last 10 years. It is still free to blog, to podcast, to do YouTube and use social media to attract your readers, so don't despair. There are many ways to find readers that won't break the bank. So how can you prepare for any shift in social media usage and ad spend? Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Social media still has its place, as do paid ads, and I'm certainly intending to carry on using them as part of my campaigns, but alongside my sustained focus on content marketing as my primary long-term channel. And that means for me, this podcast, the blog, and YouTube, and my books. In fact, I know we don't like to describe our books as content, but essentially they are. I also still love Twitter, and I'm using Instagram more and more, which of course is owned by Facebook. So regardless of what happens with tech, the human need for connection doesn't change. If you can connect with your readers through your social media ads as well as organic sharing, then you will continue to be able to use social media to sell books. But remember, it's a funnel. So start with getting people interested in you, then develop a relationship before you try to sell them anything. And of course, you can listen to the audiobook of How to Market a Book, 3rd edition, available on all the usual audio platforms. Number 3. Rise of voice search, voice assistants, and impact on audio. And this, I think, was the thing that surprised me quite a lot. Amazon has now sold tens of millions of Alexa-enabled devices globally, and Digital Trends reported that the Echo has been the biggest hit over Christmas 2017. Wired reports on a new division at Amazon called Alexa Voice, which aims to build hardware and software that makes it easy to add Alexa into anything: vehicles, home appliances, smart clothing, wearables, and much more. CES, the biggest consumer electronics show in the world, reported on the dominance of Alexa in the gadgets displayed this year. Alexa may also be the next frontier for advertising, as reported by Digital Trends, which suggests potential product placement within search. This is restricted right now, but fast forward and consider what it means if people ask Alexa to recommend a book on how to potty train your child, or how to cook sous vide, or the best thriller featuring a female secret agent, ancient artifacts, and a religious conspiracy. I wonder what that could be. Brackets, my arcane novels. I also see this integrating with the shopping experience. So at the moment, I get email reminders to reorder things like my contact lenses and regular grocery shopping items. Perhaps the voice assistant will remind me in future based on previous buying behaviour. The Next Web has reported on Google's possible changes to the search algorithm in 2018, including how the rise of voice search may shift the algorithms towards how people speak and ask questions, rather than how they type the same thing. Featured snippets will also become more important if you want to be found. Definitely an important shift for those non-fiction authors, like me, who get a lot of traffic from Google search queries. I'll be looking at the range of WordPress plugins for this kind of functionality, and I'm also moving into doing short YouTube videos based around specific questions on the writing, craft, and the business of writing. Check out my channel at youtube.com/thecreativepenn if you'd like some video in your life. As writers fascinated with language, this voice search stuff is interesting because, as those of us who have tried dictation have found, it is a very different experience to speak than it is to write. We here, Jonathan and I, have a Google Home and an Amazon Echo or Alexa, and I'm intending to try and use them more in 2018 in an attempt to understand how these technologies could impact us, because more and more capabilities are being added to them every day. The Next Web's article also suggests that the main algorithm will shift to mobile first in 2018, as 60% of Google searches are now mobile. If your website is not mobile optimized, you need to sort that out in 2018. And I have an author website tutorial. You can check it out at thecreativepenn.com/author website. This preference for voice may have an interesting impact on chatbots, according to Wired magazine, which says that since Facebook is killing their own chatbot assistant M, that chatbots are already dead because people are moving to voice interaction over text. It may still be viable to use a simple rule-based chatbot, as some authors are already doing for Facebook interaction, but for anything more developed, it looks like voice interaction is the focus for the future. Right, section 4, content creation beyond the book. We are living in a golden age of television right now, and long-form series shaped the entertainment conversation in 2017, including The Handmaid's Tale, Game of Thrones, Big Little Lies, Stranger Things, The Crown, just to name a few that I enjoyed. Books are no longer leading the cultural conversation, as author and TV producer Jeff Norton states on The Bookseller. People are talking about what they are watching rather than what books they have read. He explains that the streaming services, quote, have a direct and meaningful relationship with consumers and are great with data, end quote. His recommendation to publishers is to publish less, improve metadata and make the most of each book, and develop direct relationships with readers, suggestions that are relevant to indie authors as well. Reading isn't going away, of course, but reflect on your own entertainment choices and you may see a shift, as I did in 2017. I still read a lot. And like this week I've read 2 novels because I always read in bed before going to sleep. But my shared experience with Jonathan and our evening relaxation is around the big screen, which is why I'm adapting Map of Shadows at the moment, because I want to turn my books into something more people can enjoy. There will continue to be more and more need for content, but in the form of visual entertainment, like Netflix, whatever the new Disney offering might be, Hulu, Amazon Prime, YouTube, and much more, as well as audio content. On audio, Good e-Reader reports on the continued growth of audiobooks, and they are a younger demographic, with 48% of all listeners under 35 who have listened to an average of 15 books per year, or last year, and report that, quote, it makes it easier to finish a book, end quote. There's a rise in straight-to-audio rights licensing, and publishers are increasingly looking to popular podcasts for a platform to launch books, which reflects what happened with bloggers way back in 2010 to kind of 2012, when a lot of top bloggers got book deals. Of course, Audible is the dominant player in the audio space, reputedly offering some big-name authors 6-figure audio-only deals. And of course, Audible is based on a subscription model with a lower royalty rate for non-exclusive authors publishing through the platform. Sound familiar? Looking further ahead, there are discussions beginning around onboard entertainment for people in self-driving cars. Apple has described their driverless car venture as the mother of all AI projects, so we should keep an eye on whether they develop relationships with other content providers or start their own, or use the existing ones they have. Plus, the augmented reality of Magic Leap and heads-up display might be on the horizon this time next year. And if you haven't heard of Magic Leap, go check out the link in the show notes. It really is potentially awesome. I'm certainly considering how I can take my intellectual property into different forms and work with bigger collaborative projects as I consider my next 10 years of creative work. It's time to play a bigger game. And finally, exciting number 5, expansion of blockchain technologies and other cool tech. So first up, I know it can be confusing, but remember, Bitcoin and digital currency are not the blockchain, in the same way that PayPal is not the internet. You have to remember these things are different. The craziness in the digital currency, i.e. the Bitcoin stuff going on, feels a bit like 1999 to me, when all the businesses added .com to their names and valuations went nuts. And we're definitely seeing that at the moment. After the bust, there was a shakeout, but the biggest companies today, Amazon, Google, Facebook, came out of that. So perhaps there will be a shakeout in 2018 and we'll see the beginnings of the next big movers in this space for the next 10 to 20 years. So potentially exciting times. Kodak have just launched a blockchain initiative for a secure method of digital rights management and rights licensing from the platform, using AI for search image recognition that will result in photographers being reimbursed in micropayments for usage. Which is amazing. Please listen to that again if you didn't quite get it, because it is a game changer. This is the model we need to see with authors and intellectual property rights. Kodak stock leaped at the news, and whichever company does this for written copyright should see a similar benefit. And if we can have that kind of model, then really we're looking for, direct to author payments for usage of our work all over the place. Smart contracts are another application for creatives, as it will mean intellectual property rights can be licensed globally without the need for middlemen. Again, massive shake-up. The Alliance of Independent Authors are launching a white paper on blockchain for books at London Book Fair in April 2018, which of course I will report on, but one of the possible applications will be micropayments that go beyond KDP Select. And this is critical because access over ownership is a macro trend. Think Netflix, Uber, streaming music, and of course Kindle Unlimited. So we need a non-exclusive way for readers to access our books and authors to get paid for pages read, because I truly believe pages read and streaming books, however you want to put it, are really important for going forward, as that is the way people are consuming things, but we need a non-exclusive option. Truly creative AI is just around the corner, reports Digital Trends, and as I've been saying for a while on this show, I intend to use it, just as I use other tools like dictation, Scrivener, internet research on YouTube, and more to help my writing life. For those doubters, the article goes into the cute Harry Potter story from Botnik Studios that came out before Christmas, and a neural network writing the next Game of Thrones novel, to Google's Deep Dream project, and Chef Watson, which is inventing new recipes. The Washington Post's robo-journalist wrote over 1,000 articles in 2017. Did the readers even notice? The new publishing standard reports on the Washington Post's use of AI, going even further with Polly, which aims to speak like a human, using advanced deep learning technologies, and includes 47 voices across 24 different languages. And of course, Polly is owned by Amazon, and the Washington Post is owned by Jeff Bezos. This makes me think that audiobooks read by one of Polly's voices is not far off, as I believe translation will be done primarily by AI in the reasonably near future. Not getting rid of translation completely or, actors narrating completely, but there will be these different levels in the same way we have different levels or offerings with ebooks, print books, audiobooks. There'll be different types of offerings. If these things concern you with the whole robots will take our jobs approach, then consider that people once thought the same thing about computers or even cars. And these tools have replaced many jobs for sure, but they have also created whole new industries. Research firm Gartner has said that by 2020, AI will generate 2.3 million jobs, exceeding the 1.8 million that it will remove. Of course, this will vary by industry, so we need to position ourselves and be ready to make the shift. So in conclusion, yes, the indie author business model has stabilized, but the pace of change continues, and what is true today will not be true in a year's time. As ever, I'm excited, and I hope to continue sharing that excitement with you so that together we can be ready for the opportunities of the future. My recommended response to this article is: Keep writing and creating more intellectual property assets. It all comes back to being creators, and hey, that's the fun part, right? Maximize your paper products with print on demand to take advantage of the continued shift to online purchasing. Make sure your website is mobile optimized. Retain as many rights as possible so that you can take advantage of new opportunities that we don't even see yet. For example, if you do work with a publisher, don't license World English rights in all formats with no limited term. If you don't understand that, read Christine Catherine Rush's book, Closing the Deal on Your Terms, Agents, Contracts and Other Considerations for more detail. Look at diversifying beyond the book to create multiple streams of income. I'm getting into adapting my fiction into screenplays, and for non-fiction, I'll be doing more courses and audiobooks. Finally, look at investing for the long term. Even though I publish wide for the majority of my book sales, I also own shares in Amazon because clearly they are dominating so many of the changes ahead. I actually didn't realise how much until I did the research for this article. I also invest in index funds as per Unshakable and How to Own the World, investment books I recommend if you want to consider these aspects. But of course, this is not financial advice, and I am not a financial advisor and all of that. We can't see the future, but we can prepare for it. Right, let's get into another exciting year. Please do leave any comments or ideas or other trends, or if you disagree with me, in the comments on the show notes, or tweet me at The Creative Penn.